This is the non-calculator math section from the 2015 practice SAT. So question 1, we have x minus 1 divided by 3 equals k, and we know that k equals 3. So we can just plug 3 into the equation. We get x minus 1 divided by 3 equals 3. Then we multiply 3 to both sides, multiply the denominator to the other side, we get x minus 1 equals 9. Add 1 to both sides, and we get x equals 10. So the answer is D. Question 2, we're given I is the square root of negative 1, and it wants us to find the sum of quantity 7 plus 3i plus the quantity negative 8 plus 9i. So what we're going to do is combine like terms. So we have 7 minus 8 is negative 1, and 3i plus 9i equals 12i. And so we have negative 1 and 12i. So our answer is A. Next up, Armand sent M text messages each hour for 5 hours. So that is 5M. And Tyrone sent P text messages each hour for 4 hours. So that's 4P. Which of the following represents the total number of messages? So we're going to add the two. And so our answer is C. Kathy is a repair technician for a phone company. Each week she receives a batch of phones that need repairs. The number of phones that she has left to fix at the end of each day can be estimated with the equation P equals 108 minus 23D, where P is the number of phones left and D is the number of days she has worked that week. What is the meaning of the 108 in this equation? Well, the given information tells us that Kathy completes 23 phones per day, and that P is the amount of phones she has left. So we have this number 108, and we're subtracting it by the amount of phones she does in a day. So 108 must be the amount of phones she starts with every week. So the answer is B. Which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? Well, it looks like we're just going to be combining like terms. So let's rewrite this as x squared y minus 3y squared plus 5xy squared. And then we're going to bring the negative sign through to all of those numbers. So we're going to get plus x squared y minus 3xy squared and plus 3y squared. Now we can combine like terms. So the first two go together. We get 2x squared y. Then we have these two go together, but they'll cancel out because one is negative and one is positive. And lastly, we have these two, which gives us plus 2xy squared. And so the answer is C. 6. A pediatrician uses the model above to estimate the height age of a boy in inches in terms of the boy's age A in years between the ages of 2 and 5. Based on the model, what is the estimated increase in inches of the boy's height each year? So we're trying to find how height changes based on how A changes. And we know that every year A is going to change by 3. So the answer should be A equals 3. But we could prove this by plugging in 2 for A. So we have 3. H equals 3 times 2 plus 28.6 equals 6 plus 28.6. Then we have H equals 3 times 3 a year later plus 28.6. And H equals 9 plus 28.6. So all that happened between these two is 1 year changed and the height changed by 3. Alright, the formula above gives the monthly payment M needed to pay off a loan of P dollars at R% annual interest over N months. Which of the following gives P in terms of MR and N? So all this is saying is it wants us to get P all by itself. It wants P alone. And it wants to know what operations we do to get there. So we're going to call this quantity A, this quantity B, and this quantity C. So if we rewrite this, we have M equals AB over C equals P. If we want to get P alone, then we have to multiply both sides by C, so we get MC equals AB times P. Now to get P all by itself, we divide by AB, so we get MC divided by AB equals P. And so now we want to see which of the following answers gives us P in the term that we described, MC divided by AB. So we know we're going to want C on the top, and this was C, so here we have C on the top, and that's the only one that has C on the top. And we want this on the bottom, and this on the bottom. And right here, they're both on the bottom. So the correct answer is B. Alright. Next up, if A divided by B equals 2, what is the value of 4B divided by A? So we have 4B divided by A, but we don't know what it equals to, so we'll say it equals X. What we're going to try to do is turn the equation into something that has A divided by B, because we know what that equals. So we're going to multiply both sides by A, and we get 4B equals AX. And then we divide by both sides by B, and we get 4 equals A divided by BX. But we know that AB equals 2. So we have 4 equals 2x. Then we divide both sides by 2, we get x equals 2. So our answer is C. Right, now we have a system of linear equations, and it wants the solution to the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to line the equations up, and we're going to say 4y plus 3x equals negative 23, minus the equation 2y minus x equals negative 19. And what we want to do is eliminate one of the variables. So we're going to multiply the bottom equation by 2. So then the y's will cancel out. And so this is going to turn into 4y plus 3x equals negative 23 minus 4y minus 2x equals negative 38. The y's cancel out. We're left with 5x equals positive 15. And so we know x equals 3. The only answer with the x value being equal to 3 is the letter B. But we can test that by substituting 3 back into one of the equations. So we get 4y plus 3 times 3 equals negative 23. So 4y plus 9 equals negative 23. So 4y equals negative 32. Y equals negative 8. Alright, g of x equals ax squared plus 24. For function g defined above, a is a constant, and g of 4 equals 8. What is the value of g of negative 4? Well, we can find what the value of a is by plugging 4 and 8 into the equation above, and we'll get 8 equals a times 4 squared plus 24. So we can subtract the 24 to the left side, and we get negative 16 equals 4 squared is 16 times a. So we know a is negative 1. And now we want to find what g of negative 4 is. So we say g of negative 4 equals negative 1 times negative 4 squared plus 24. And we get negative 1 times 16 plus 24. And that will get us 8. So the answer is A. Now we're given two equations. In the equations above, B and C represent the price per pound in dollars of beef and chicken respectively, X weeks after July 1st during last summer. what was the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken? So what it wants us to do is set B equal to C and find X. And then we're going to substitute X back in to one of the equations. So we get 2.35 plus 0.25x equals 1.75 plus 0.40x. And so we're going to subtract 1.75 to the left. That'll give us 0.6 equals, we're going to subtract 0.25x to the right, and that will give us 0.15x. Put this into fractional form, we get 6/10 equals 3/20 x. What we're going to do is multiply both sides by 20. 20 and 20. These 20s cancel out, and the 10 cancels out, the 20 becomes a 2. So now we have 2 times 6 is 12 equals 3x. 3 divided by 12 is 4, so x equals 4. Now we're going to substitute that 4 back into one of the equations above. So we get 2.35 plus 0.25 times 4. Well, this is just going to be $1. So we get 3.35. That's our final answer. So it is D. A line in the xy plane passes through the origin and has a slope of 1/7. Which of the following points lies on the line? Well, what we can do is make a quick graph. We're going to say, if the slope is 1/7, that means that we go up 1 and right 7. So here we have the point 7, 1. Or we can go down 1 and left 7, and we get -7, -1. Now if we look at our answers, it asks, is 0,7 on the graph? No. Is 1/7 on the graph? Nope. 7/7? No. And then we have the last one, 14/2. But that looks a lot like this point, 1/7, but just 2 times the point. So if we were to extend the graph, this way, our next point on the graph would be 14,2. So D is our answer. Now, if x is greater than 3, which of the following is equivalent to this mess? So what we're going to do first is we're just going to focus on the bottom two fractions. So we have 1 over x plus 2 plus 1 over x plus 3. And so what we're going to do to get a common denominator is multiply the top and bottom by each other's denominator. So we're going to get x plus 3 over x plus 3, and then over here x plus 2 divided by x plus 2. So then when we multiply those together, we get x plus 3 over x squared plus 5x plus 6 plus x plus 2 divided by x squared plus 5x plus 6. So now we'll combine them. We'll get 2x plus 5 over x squared plus 5x plus 6. But if we go back here, we realize that what we have written is just the denominator of the question. So really, it's 1 divided by this whole thing. But if we're dividing by a fraction, it means that we can multiply by the reciprocal. So this really means 1 times x squared plus 5x plus 6 over 2x plus 5, which can just be simplified to this. And so this is our answer, and this matches B. Alright, if 3x minus y equals 12, what is the value of 8x divided by 2y? Well, we know that 8 equals 2 to the third power. So we can rewrite 8x as 2 to the third power to the x power. And so we now get 2 to the 3x divided by 2 to the y. And because these bases are the same, we just subtract their exponents and we get 2 to the 3x minus y. But over here, we know what 3x minus y equals, so it's 12. And so we just plug 12 in for the 3x minus y, and we get 2 to the 12th. So our answer is A. If ax plus 2 times bx plus 7 equals 15x squared plus cx plus 14 for all values of x, and a plus b equals 8, what are the two possible answers for c? Well, let's factor this expression first, and we'll get abx squared plus 7ax plus 2bx plus 14 equals 15x squared plus cx plus 14. And so here we see that this is the same, and then we see AB must equal 15. So we get AB equals 15. And we already know that A plus B equals 8, so we can find B equals 8 minus A. And then substitute that back into this equation. We get A times 8 minus A equals 15. Or 8A minus A squared equals 15. Again, we can rewrite this by subtracting everything to the right side. We get A squared minus 8A plus 15. And we can factor this. A minus 3 and A minus 5. Negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. Negative 3 plus negative 5 is negative 8. And so we get A equals 3 or A equals 5. And we can plug that in to this equation. So either A equals 3 and B equals 5, or A equals 5 and B equals 3. So then we substitute that in for this expression, because we know that this and this are equal. So we could say 7A plus 2B equals C. And so we substitute 3 in for A, and 5 in for B. We get 21 plus 10 equals C, or 31 equals C. And then we substitute in 5 for A and 3 for B. And we get 35 plus 6 equals C, or 41 equals C. So our answer will be 31 or 41. So our answer is D. Right. Now we're getting away from the multiple choice section and we're going to more of a free response section. So we're told that t is greater than 0 and t squared minus 4 equals 0. We want to find the value of t. So we have our expression t squared minus 4 equals 0. And we want to get t squared alone. So we get t squared equals 4 because we just added 4 to both sides. Then we take the square root of both sides and we get t equals plus or minus 2. And it's plus or minus because if we square 2, we get 4. And if we square negative 2, we get 4. So if we take the square root of 4, we don't know which number it will be. However, we're told that t has to be greater than 0, so t must be equal to 2. Next up is 17. Summer camp counselor wants to find a length x in feet across a lake as represented in the sketch above. The lengths represented by AB, EB, BD, and CD on the sketch were determined to be 1,800 feet. So let's write that into the diagram given. EB is 1,400 feet. BD is 700 feet. And DC, or CD, is 800 feet. Segments AC and DE intersect, and we're told that this angle and this angle are the same. What is the value of x? So, because of this intersection here, we know that these are vertical angles, and thus they must be the same. So we know that both triangles have two angles with the same measurements. So that means the third angle must also be equal because they have to add up to 180. So we know that they're similar triangles, and that means that one will just be a multiple of the other. And if we look at this and this, we see that 1,400 is just equal to 2 times 700. So x is going to be equal to 2 times 800 because it's lined up like so between this angle and this angle. So x must be 1,600. I guess we'll write it here too. Now 18. X plus y equals negative 9, and x plus 2y equals negative 25. According to the system of equations above, what is the value of x? We can see that in these two equations, the only change is to y, and y is multiplied by 2. So there's 1 extra y, and 1 extra y yields the change of negative 16. So we know y equals negative 16. So let's plug that back into one of the equations. We get x minus 16 equals negative 9. So we add 16 to both sides, and we get x equals 7. X equals 7. In a right triangle, one angle measures x degrees, where sine x degrees equals 4/5. What is cosine of 90 degrees minus x degrees? So let's draw a triangle. And we know that it's a right triangle, so it has an angle of 90 degrees, and it has an angle of x. And so we know that there's 180 degrees between the three angles of a triangle. So 180, we know, is 90 plus x plus something else we'll call y. And so we can subtract 90. So we get 90 equals x plus y. We're calling this angle y. And look what the question's asking us. It wants 90 minus x. And we know that 90 minus x is equal to this angle y. So we can rewrite that angle as 90 minus x. And we're told that sine of x is 4/5. So across, the number across, the side length across from the angle is 4, and the hypotenuse is 5. And it wants us to find the cosine of this angle here, 90 minus x. And so the cosine is going to be the adjacent side length, which is right here, over the hypotenuse. So cosine of 90x is just equal to sine of x, which is equal to 4/5, 0.8. 20. If a equals 5 times the square root of 2, and 2 times a equals the square root of 2x, what is the value of x? So let's multiply this expression by 2 to both sides. We get 2a equals 10 times the square root of 2. And so we have 2a on this over here and 2a over here. So we can set the two expressions equal. We get 10 times the square root of 2 equals the square root of 2 times x. And we know that 10 is the same thing as the square root of 100. So we can substitute that in for the 10. So we have square root of 100 times the square root of 2 equals the square root of 2x. And this can just be written under the same square root. We get the square root of 2 times 100 equals the square root of 2 times x. Well, here's our 2, and here's our x. So we know that x equals 100.